Welcome to Talk Tennis. Today we've got Chris, Jason, Troy.
Hey.
Yep. What's up?
And we are talking about a new Wilson racket that has gotten so much buzz in the last year, maybe longer.
Yeah.
And we can finally talk a little bit more about it. So
All right.
I actually pulled up my notes from when Wilson was here. But before we get into it, you guys know I love an opening question that might have nothing to do with the racket that we're talking about today. So we've recently talked that there's a lot of tennis documentaries right now. And I know you've been watching some. I'm guessing you've been watching some.
I have not yet.
Oh.
Well, I know. Slacking.
Oh.
Slacking.
He doesn't want to cry.
Oh.
Don't want to.
Well,
Yeah, this one's going to cut close for Jay.
Yeah. That's
if
my
you
boy.
have been watching, what's your favorite one so far?
I was gonna say something stupid.
You're gonna start crying.
No. What's that? What's that tennis movie? The one.
Wimbledon?
No. The Challengers. Challengers.
Oh.
Hey, that one made
No.
me cry. No,
Oh, remember The Journeyman with Mark Kyle? And
Yeah.
that one was great. I mean, not for everyone. Needs some kind of rating on it, but that was a good one.
The only one I've dug into lately is the Rafa.
That's what I was wondering.
Okay. And so what do you love about it? Is there
I've
anything
seen.
that you learned?
I've seen all of it. I think I skipped a little piece of like how many episodes is it? 4?
Thought it was
5?
4.
I
haven't
think
started.
I think I skipped a little piece of like 3,
Okay.
and then I woke up to the very ending, and it was
Okay.
like really sad.
No.
So was anything surprising that you've learned about Rafa?
Yeah, how many like I was telling you, anti-inflammatories that guy was on. Like his team got so worried about him that he just took matters into his own
Was
hands.
he taking injections or?
Yeah, he was taking
like
injections.
trizepatides, or?
It was like a injection form of that one drug Voltaren.
Uh-huh.
That's like you can get like a cream for it,
Yeah.
I guess.
Oh yeah, they have that
But
at
he was
Costco.
he was getting that injected or something like that.
Oh,
But then he was popping anti-inflammatories, and one coach was like so worried about him. He's like, "You need to stop," and he just took the bottle and just kept it in his bag.
The Joe Rubio method?
He
2
just-
every hour on the hour?
I don't know. It just seemed, but like you could tell because like his wife or fiance at the time and his sister were like super like they would be crying in the crowd because they knew that he was winning, still winning and fighting through his injuries, but he was
Hurting.
not like slowly killing himself, but like destroying his body a little bit by doing this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but he said in the end, you know, like I don't want to ruin it, but he's like, I probably by doing the actions and the things that he did, he probably gave himself about 10 more slams than he probably would have
That's crazy.
without
Well, it's a lot.
all the.
I
Without,
haven't watched it yet. Life has been getting in the way of me doing things like watching that. World Cup is on too.
Oh,
I mean,
I
yeah.
know. I was gushing to Troy over the weekend about the Martina Navratilova and Chris Evert one.
that one just came out, right?
Yeah. Right.
It
That's
just came out. I was like, ugh, I was telling the guys this morning, it makes me have so much respect for both of them. And both of them came away with 18 Grand Slams in singles, both of them. Like, that's crazy. And I didn't really realize how insane their relationship was. Like, you have to watch it. And I
remember seeing something like not this one, but like another
it's crazy.
video a while back.
They were like
about-
besties.
about how they hit each other early on, right? Or
No, they like when Martina came to the U.S., like she was like kind of like in her own world, but like kind of like very opposite of Chris. And but they made friends. But then Chrissy was always beating her, and then they started playing doubles, and they were winning doubles, and they were like really good friends. And then Martina started kind of gaining on Chris, and Chris was like, "We can't play doubles anymore," and
Yes.
basically like ended the friendship.
Yeah.
And then Martina, and like she kind of had always said like to Martina, like, you're not even in shape. Like imagine if you trained. And because Chris kind of like turned that friendship away, Martina made friends elsewhere, and she started a friendship and a relationship with a basketball player. And then all of a sudden she's training and
she got
she's
jacked.
like jacked
Yeah.
and fit,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
she's
she got
just
super fit.
destroying Chris.
She like flipped a switch in her head. Right? Yeah.
And then Chrissy can't beat Martina, and she's like, shoot, I gotta get jacked. It was fun to watch. It was really good.
I haven't seen that one either, but I've seen interviews with both of them, and they do have a ton of respect for each other and a great friendship. Which kind of, I think, on the male side, you've got to go Rafa Fed maybe to get that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting where champions can become good friends and keep it professional and respectful, and it's good for the sport.
Yeah.
Not like Agassi saying that Sampras is a horrible tipper.
Their relationship's a little different.
Yeah.
They're not all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll have Serena and Maria in one.
Oh,
Hey,
Troy.
she spoke at her Hall of Fame induction.
She did.
Besties.
That's true.
Besties.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Okay. Enough of that. Let's talk about the Project P. I think that's what we're
Project
calling it. Python, the working name. We've seen this racket out there. I need to know right away, you guys. Like, what was your first impression? How did this racket change your life? Tell me all the things. And maybe you guys want to talk specifically about the 100 or the 98, or which one you gravitated towards. Talk about that one. You tell me. Tell me why it's great.
One of the interesting things, because obviously, there's been a lot of buzz. There's been people that have hit blacked out versions of the racket, and you would see conflicting reviews. And then when we learned that there were, because at first everyone just thought it was a blacked
One
out.
racket.
Yeah.
One racket.
But it's
Yeah.
multiple different models. And so it was like, which one did they hit? I don't think the reviewers always knew. We didn't know. It wasn't like made clear always. And so it was interesting to actually get to hit all of them and just compare the differences like between the 98 and the 100. The field changes quite a lot. And then I was really impressed with the 100L. Yeah. Super fast and very, I thought, stable for its weight.
Platformish?
Yeah, very much a platform. Great platform racket.
Yeah,
And
what is
in
it?
stock form, too. Just a really fun, fast, whippable racket.
Whippability.
Is it like a
Whippability.
285 maybe?
Good question. I don't know.
Yeah. But also like a great frame for like the high school player or like the junior that's looking for something stable.
Yeah,
Like
smaller
a great-
framed
yeah,
adults,
smaller
or someone
adult.
who's just looking for something quick and easy to maneuver, and then maybe they want to, beef it up a bit with
Yeah.
some tungsten tape.
Yep. Well, and it's no secret that people have been calling this the Wilson Pure Aero. So, Jay, you were using that Pure Aero
Yeah.
98 a bunch. How does it compare? What are you thinking?
Yeah, when I first grabbed it, that's the thing I thought of. I'm like, wow, this is Wilson's version of a Pure Aero. I've never seen this from Wilson before. And so, yeah, hitting it alongside the Pure Aero 98, it's very similar. I looked at the specs, very similar. I feel like the Pure Aero still gives me a little bit more free power.
Okay.
This one is more control-oriented, more like a beefed up blade, almost, where it's still, I think, a control-oriented racket. And then the Pure Aero just gives me a little bit more free power, and like I feel like a win point's a little bit easier with the Pure Aero. But this one still is a very user-friendly pro racket, a Pro 98. For being a pro version, it's super whippable, super user-friendly. Yeah, I like
It's
it.
very headlight, the 98.
Yeah.
And I think with some weight towards the tip, you're going to get some of that pop back that this racket doesn't have, being that headlight.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
I do really like the softer response of the 98 compared to the 100. It really felt like the ball sat. I got a bit more dwell time. And it was just like a really nice smooth feel to it, which I enjoyed, especially when I was, looking to hit a drop shot or a drop volley or something like that. I, out of the two, really like the 98. The 100's got the pop, though, no doubt.
Yeah.
Troy, what are your
Troy?
thoughts? And maybe you can even talk to us a little bit about how this racket technically is different than something like a blade. Because we've seen some of these players that have been endorsing blade switching to the blacked out racket. What do you think?
Yeah, so I mostly just hit the 98 version. But yeah, the first thing I noticed is like it's super fast.
Yeah.
Like super whippy for my spec, pretty manageable swing weight. But with that, you get a ton of racket head speed or easy racket head speed. I really liked how easy it was, like playing dingles and rallying and stuff. There was a couple times where like I was like moving to my forehand side and I could just like snap it like boom and just get this like crazy dipper,
Okay.
which is like things you can do with a Pure Aero 98 or
Yeah.
like for me these rackets actually have some of that like VCORE kind of older VCORE.
Okay.
It's the color.
Yeah, the color.
The color that's reminding
It
you.
looks like a VCORE.
Yeah.
Not the current one, but for me, maybe more like the older ones. Like
How does the string spacing compare? Because we've talked about
string
that.
spacing for me was nice. I felt like launch angle and control was still there, so probably more like the Aero 98 in that sense. Whereas the VCORE is a little much in terms of like spacing and launch angle, so more controlled here. And so for me, the main thing is like I really liked it, but I've heard from other like feedback online and on YouTube. In order to make this like a racket I would really like to play with, I'd have to beef up the swing weight, because what I noticed when I was playing with it is my ball does this like crazy arc, kicks up, but when I try to get my shots to do this through the court, back fence type hits, it's really hard for me because I just lack that like linear penetration, and I think that's really
you need swing weight for that.
Yeah.
You need mass.
swing weight, or they should have just mailed me one with a half inch added to the bottom of the handle.
Okay.
Swing weight would have been like 330. You know,
Yeah,
you would have loved it, Michelle.
I know.
But no, really good. But other than that, what you were saying, like compared to like a blade, you definitely notice the more modern feel, easier pop. But what Wilson did good, I think, is it kind of maintains that like pocketing feel. Still has pretty good comfort for kind of like a medium stiff frame.
Okay.
And I think, I don't know, but it to me it feels like some other like Pro Lab stuff where I think there's some foam in there maybe, because it feels like it has that
it has that
firmness, but good like plush dampening.
Yeah.
And we should mention that the string pattern on the 98 is also 1620, right?
Yes. Yeah, 1620, but if you really look at it, the top and bottom cross are like really, these crosses are really spread apart.
Okay.
So for me, it plays more like a 1619 with the way it grabs. And then there's some 1619s that are like the RF01 that are really condensed on the crosses. The center's really tight. They play more like a tighter pattern. So
Yeah.
it plays open for me.
Well, now that we've had a chance to hit these rackets, who do you think these are for? Do you think that Wilson made them so you could customize them? Or obviously, that was a stupid question. Do you think Wilson made these for customizing? Because obviously we see the pros hitting with like their unique, some have an 1820 string pattern from what we've seen. So it's kind of like a little bit a peek behind the curtain, like the rackets that some of these players are using have been custom made for them. Is this an opportunity to take a racket and really make it your own? Or is this really for a junior evolving their game or someone looking for all the RPMs on their shots? What do you guys think?
I mean, I think in stock form, there's a ton on the table already in these rackets. I think, you know, really easy access to spin, especially out of the 100. You got good pop out of it. It's a really nice performance kind of tweener racket. We haven't used that word in a long time, but it does a bit of everything. You know, it's got the pop, it's got the spin, there's still control there. Plays great with a co-poly. So if you're that kind of intermediate through advanced level player that's really looking to maximize racket speed and hit big ground strokes and serves, I think that's just a great way to go as is. And then with the 98, I think that's the one for me that I can see players customizing a bit more, just because it is, the ones we've hit have been very head light. And although I love the fact I can whip it around, even I play a lighter racket, but in 100, I would add just a little bit of tip weight to the 98 just to get the ball pushing through the court a bit more.
Yeah. Would you say this is like almost like a platform 98? Like those aren't really a thing, but this with the swing weight low, with the balance being so head light, Troy can get it up easily to the 330s, 340s.
330 would be fine.
Yeah, easily. And it would make the racket play how you wanted.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what some of the pro specs are.
Yeah.
Like if I've seen pictures of Cordas, Sebi Cordas, and he has quite a bit of, maybe a couple layers of lead.
I'm always curious, Ketchenoff too. That guy is so big. Like, what is his swing weight?
Yeah.
It's got to be up there, right?
I would think. And then there's that one guy that plays a little bit lower ranked, Colton Smith, and that guy just rips the forehand. He's kind of buff, dude. That guy's cranking the ball with that thing.
Yeah.
And it looks like he might be kind of the face of this racket. He hasn't come back quite yet at the time of this recording, but Holger Rune
is,
I think, made the switch.
No more Bab?
Yeah.
No more.
He's been hitting these.
Yeah, he's been hitting
his
these.
Instagram photos he's been posting recently. He's been hitting these.
He's
yeah.
leaked the footage. He's the first one that leaked it.
He's going to the W.
Okay, again,
Yeah.
let's compare a little bit deeper with that Pure Aero. We can pick the 98 or the 100. How is the stiffness and the feel compared?
Great question. I think then the 98s align pretty well because the Pure Aero 98 is a very forgiving racket. It's not a stiff feeling racket at all. I
No.
feel like the ball sits well on both the Wilson and the Babolat. I would just say give the Wilson a little bit of tungsten at the tip and you're like, now you're really apples and apples kind of comparison. But as is, I think the Wilson's a bit whippier and, dare I say, spinnier, but not. You don't get the ball through the court as much as I can with the Pure Aero.
Yeah, spin I felt was very similar, but I don't know. We'll have to get it on Zenith.
I was just going to say this would be a fun Zenith challenge.
to see the difference. But spins felt very similar between the Pure Aero 98 and the Pro 98. So I'd like to see that. But
No pressure.
yeah, but
Did you wouldn't say either is like felt relatively stiffer on contact, like firmer, stiffer, or does one feel
maybe the Pure Aero feels slightly stiffer.
okay?
But also I think the Pure Aero feels like it has a bigger sweet spot,
Okay.
or a little bit more forgiving sweet spot.
More
feel like-
muted or
Which one's more
the
muted?
Pure? I don't know. I'm asking you.
This one feels more plush.
Okay.
When I hit it in the sweet spot, but then I feel like when I'm hitting it toward the tip and I'm missing it, I can feel my miss hits a bit more.
Okay, but the Aero, a little bit bigger, like you said, forgiveness.
Yeah,
The Aero 98
Yeah.
versus this 98.
yeah,
That could be I think that could be a mass thing, honestly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What would you say?
I honestly like these guys. I don't play the Aero 98 very often.
Let's go VCORE 98.
VCORE 98. That one, the new one's pretty low flex actually for its thickness of beam. So comfort could really go either way. This one I would say probably does feel a little bit firmer, but it doesn't feel like uncomfortable. Like I said, I can't prove it or anything until we cut one open or whatever, or I find out from Wilson. But it feels like there's some like
foam.
maybe a little foam in there. So it's like got a medium stiffness rating, kind of medium lower, but really good like a feel of a dampening and a pocketing from that. So
Switching between the 98 and the 100, did you notice a difference in the feel?
yes, yeah, the 100 felt a little crisper, a little firmer. I want to say maybe even the RAs reflect that, which the RA stiffness is just an indication of the yoke.
But yeah, I definitely felt that too.
Yes,
But
yeah,
the
yeah.
100, I was like, wow, like I felt an immediate boost in power,
Yeah.
crisper feel, and especially on the volley, it was like,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
we like to say point and shoot, and it's, when we're talking about that, it's just like you line up the strings, the ball gets in and out quickly, and it goes right where you line the strings up. There's no kind of like it sits, you carry it a bit, and then you place it. With the 100, I just felt like boom, it was in and out, and it could be a good double stick for that reason.
Yeah, and then on the contrary, when we first tested these, we played out at the Avila courts. I was hitting the 100s first, and they felt kind of firm, crisp. And then as soon as I switched to the 98, I came up to the net to do some short court and started hitting volleys, and I was like, oh my God, this feels amazing. Like, because it's the softer
Yeah.
pocketing. I was like, I almost maybe would like this on the volleys more than the blade, given that I would weight it up to my spec. But
Well, on that day, we also were testing a new string, which I don't know if we're allowed to talk about that.
Comes out, no, it doesn't come out for a while.
Okay, so never mind.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because there were some rackets strung with a new string, and then there were some rackets strung with ALU power. And I think, at least for my playtest, that played into a little bit of the feel.
There was definitely a difference between the two Luxilon strings, we can say that.
Okay.
And so I remember just constantly looking for rackets with alu power in it, just because I'm like, okay, that's a known quantity for me. Hit that string, love that string, hit it a lot. And with the other string, I'm like, okay, because the first one I hit had the other string in it. I was like, what am I feeling here, the string or the racket? So it was good that we had the alu power as, reference point.
Yeah. I wanted to also bring up, I was just looking through my notes from when Wilson gave us the presentation on these rackets. They really are paying attention to spec tolerance. And so that's something that they want everyone listening to know, that they're really trying to like lock in on nothing's going to be crazy out of spec. How do you guys feel?
Troy, you know the specs?
I don't know why I'm
The only ones I remember, I mean, I haven't gone through and spec'd all of them. That's J-Dub's realm. But we have a couple 98s, and they're, as far as I know, they're pretty much similar, like tight in spec, but they both were a little lower in swing weight than we would have thought or assumed based on.
Do we know the target swing weight?
We've gotten unstrung, I believe.
Okay.
So we can calculate what the strung would be for a given poly because we measured so many.
Okay.
But yeah.
But they're working on it across all of their rackets.
Well, I think, yeah, and I think what these manufacturers are really going for is it's almost impossible to give you perfect matching swing weights. That's almost never going to happen.
Right.
They're talking about the grams.
Static weight.
Like, and the balance point. That's really, even like the Babolat VS rackets or the combo packs, they're going to be like within 3 grams and within one or plus or minus 1 or 2 balance points. That can change the swing weight up to like 5 to 10 points. So if you find rackets within the swing weight realm of like 5 to 10, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
In order to get them like perfectly matched, all those numbers, that's when the brands, like when they send them to their players, they have somebody. Even Fed's rackets were like weight under the bumper a little bit.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about strings? We're seeing a couple different setups in these. What was your favorite string so far to hit in this racket?
Alu?
Yeah, Alu Power plays great. The new string that's coming out complemented it. It's designed with some of the aspects of performance that these rackets are designed for. So I thought that played well. And but yeah, Alu Power was just
choice.
like turnkey for me. Yeah, it was good go.
Yeah, I like the softer polys that go in it. Do you feel like these rackets are string sensitive or no?
I mean, every poly that I've tried in there so far has
Been good?
pretty good. Alu Power really, gives, like on the 98, which is the one I hit with most, it enhances that like nice pocketing feel. It works really well with it. Softer polys like we tried, this one, Confidential Soft, worked well, easy spin. This is a prototype poly that's round shaped and kind of like in the medium stiffness, and that seemed to work well. So
Yeah, are you going to pair it with something round? Are you going to hybrid with a round and a shape? Are you looking for something super shaped?
I mean, for me, if I was a high school or college player right now and I've got 3 or 4 rackets and you're long practices, long matches, you're hitting big, you're breaking strings, I would just go P6.
Yeah. It's a great value.
Yeah. Great
And
performance string. And
yeah. I mean, based on the color, it probably plays very similar to ALU at a better price point. Just saying. Something that's come up with these rackets is we've seen them mostly in the men's hands on tour. But we know or think that Peyton Stearns has been using this one as well. Do you think that there's a type of player that should be using this racket, or do you think it's more of a men's only racket because the men seem to add a little more spin? Are there any pro players on the women's side you think should try this one?
Definitely. I mean, and then women players in general, like club players.
Yeah.
There's great performance. It's just kind of like you see Pure Aeros in both men's and women's hands. Same with Pure Drives, VCORES and E-Zones. You see them going back and forth. Same right here. It's definitely got a lot of performance for different player types. So you can be a slice and dice club doubles specialist, and these are great rackets for that because they're so easy and to whip around, very spin friendly. So yeah, they're very, I think they've got good universal kind of appeal.
For sure. I was just thinking in my head, like the VCORE players or the Aero players, like sometimes you'll see like more flat ball hitters using a quote unquote like spin racket. And I think it's just like they get used to the launch angle of the open string pattern. Like Donna Vekic comes to mind,
Yeah.
She's not like a super spinny player, but she plays with a 100 VCORE, you know. So I think these would be great rackets for pretty much any player from spin to flat. One thing I noticed with the pro players of Wilson, it seems like a lot of them that tried this were using either like a regular Blade 98 or like a Blade Pro type of racket before. So it seems like pretty much all the pros that were going from something else were looking for that added power, that added spin. But I think it works really well because it still gives them the control and a little bit of that like classic Wilson feel. So it's not like too much of a trade-off, you know?
Yeah, Michelle, I mean, you're a big fan of classic Wilson feel. Do you feel like you felt some Wilson DNA here?
Yeah, absolutely. We were hitting a couple weeks ago. Troy lets me mash balls against him and Tim. And I grabbed one of these and I was having a lot of fun with it. It might not be, I'm trying, like, what's my favorite Wilson racket right now? It's probably not the first one I would.
Blade Pro 100.
Yeah, it's probably not the first one I would grab at the moment, but I thought it was a solid racket. I had a lot of fun the day we hit out at Avila Bay Club trying all the different ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of like want to like make Jay tell me like how you would choose between a Pure Aero 98 and this racket, because those two just really seem to be like for the same player, but like which one would you choose and why?
I would probably go Pure Aero 98.
Yeah.
For the extra pop
I'm
getting off of it.
Okay.
But I think if you were like an old Blade player, and this is like the next evolution of like a player's racket where the game's getting faster and people are hitting more spin and you just want a bit more pop, then this is a great option. If you can hit a big ball, I can't hit the hugest shots, so any little extra help is good for me. So I would go Pure Aero, but if you can generate all your own power, this will give you a bit more control and just let you kind of swing away.
I feel like we need for like a little side section segment, and this one is having you guys literally hit them side by side and with the Zenus data. That would be really cool to see. I'm so curious.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yes.
Maybe I'll do a customized like 98
Here we go.
to like the VCORE 98 tour.
Yeah.
Because the VCOREs are a little more my thing than the Aeros.
Yeah. Pick your other one and this, and then see. And you can't manipulate your swing.
No. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. All of a sudden, Jay's hitting flat.
I don't think I know how.
Last thing I wanted to ask you guys is, what do you think about the cosmetic? Red is pretty bright, and it's really, I think actually this is called energizing red. It's not a VCORE red, but
I feel
it's
energized.
bright, man.
So there's like a little hue of like some like orangish, pinkish. It's definitely got a different like lighter, brighter color to the red than a VCORE.
Yeah, and it's glossy, but it doesn't feel as glossy as the VCORE. I don't know. Maybe I'm making things up. And it's got this nice hit of like a burgundy Merlot.
There's
color.
a little bit of texture on the inside of the throat.
Yeah.
Do you love it or hate it? Red can be polarizing.
I like it. I like the little white stripe by the tip of the yoke there too. It's kind of got like a bit of a surfboard kind of vibe for me.
Retro.
Yeah, I liked it. It pops. It's going to look good out on the court.
Yeah. And there's nothing really too polarizing cosmetic wise. I mean, outside the color, but there's nothing crazy graphics or anything. So it looks clean. I like the gloss.
These piss me
Glossy.
off. I don't like the white pop and go grommets.
The little grommets. It should've been
Sorry.
black. But the first time I saw him, like when we first were introduced to him, I was like, like I was just expecting something else, And with the prototype on the players on TV with the black and the little stripe, I thought that was kind of cool.
Prototypes always look so good.
But now that I've been hitting with it for a while and just seeing it like under like lights and it really shining bright, I think it looks good.
I mean, that is a good point. If you're a pro player and you've gotten used to swinging a black racket, this is a big change now because you're going to see it coming around. Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see I wonder what the pros are thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I was going to say, we could dive a little deeper into that content. Like, what do you guys think about the whole approach to this racket launch? It was in so many people's hands.
I think it was good for them. I think it did a good job.
Yeah, it definitely created a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
And I'll say, because like we've been getting asked for a year now about these rackets, we weren't allowed, like not that we weren't allowed to talk about it, we didn't have them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
This was a different approach in that they were seeding the rackets to players and getting player feedback. And I know they were developing the rackets along the way as well. So when they were getting that feedback, they were making tweaks, and things have changed before they were finalized like this. And so maybe in this instance, it wasn't something where they wanted to give it to us, and unless we were signing NDAs and weren't talking about it. But we have given brands feedback, including Wilson before final, kind of before they're baked, but not in this instance.
no,
Yeah. It was,
we missed out a little bit.
Yeah.
We had I had FOMO.
Yeah, we had a little FOMO.
Yeah.
Hearing it
For
on YouTube and seeing it on Talk Tennis, like, oh, I want to hit one of those.
I mean, we're as excited, if not more excited than anyone to hit a new racket.
We're not
so-
jaded by all the different stuff we get to hit.
Yeah.
It makes us want to hit more.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Troy, any thoughts?
No, I'm just thinking about some of the pros. It'd be fun to see it like actually come to life on court.
Yeah.
Hello. And at this time when we're recording this, we're actually not sure when they will be making their debut on court. So it's still TBD, I guess.
Yeah.
But I know we're recording our review tomorrow, so we've had a lot of time to hit them. And anything else that we missed talking about these rackets that we should add?
I tried one with a leather grip.
How'd that go?
Nice.
Oh,
More feel. More
is
feel.
it ever not a good option?
It is sometimes.
Okay.
On those really stiff rackets. For me, when you put a leather on top, it can be like really firm and
jarring.
jarring on the
Okay.
wrist a little bit.
Yeah.
But this one,
It didn't make it, because I've hit rackets before where I've liked the weight, but I've put a leather on and now I'm like, I've really taken too much of the balance towards the handle.
yeah.
Now I've got to add some tip weight, and now I'm like, now I don't like the swing weight. So that's an issue I've run into. You didn't have that issue here though.
No, because I ended up putting a little bit back on
You
the
did.
top. On the top.
I did too.
Yeah.
Playtester
But-
problems.
I put a Wilson leather, just the traditional Wilson leather, the orange one, and felt good in the hand, overgripped it. It was very headlight feeling with the grip, but the one we had a little bit lower swing weight, like in the 315 range, so bumped that up in the like low 320s, and then it was like,
Nice. Cool. Well, get your hands on we're going to call it Project P and for now until we can call it something else. And super fun to watch the evolution of these rackets come to life. And here they are. And it sounds like really well received, and players of all levels are going to enjoy it. And happy hitting.